Say in this moment I give all glory to God. So here we are, part 4 of the series of Religious Science New Thought Basics found in the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind text. So to remind you of the first 3, seems kind of loud. Is it okay?
Yeah. It is loud. Okay.
Number 1, the thing itself. In this talk we expand our picture of God, Goddess, higher power, Holy Spirit. We found that God is all there is. God is omnipresent, which means everywhere present. God is omnipotent, meaning all-powerful. God is omniscient, all-knowing. And God is a principle or a law that we want to follow. The second week we talked about the way it works. So God or life as formless spirit takes form in our lives. God comes through us to express itself. Life and God works for us by working through us. Life in God takes form according to our thoughts, which are conscious or unconscious, supported by our feelings. Therefore, God is love and law. To say those two, love is personal. It is the movement of spirit as feeling, emotion, ideas, desires, potential possibilities, all those things that come through us as God. Impersonal means it is the response to our thoughts and our beliefs, no matter who we are. It's our nature, and it's the true nature of God to do so. Part 3 was what it does. Well, it gives life and fulfillment to our existence. This thing itself, which we call God, is not complete unless it can take form for each request. So we are important in this universe because we give form to the God energy through our thoughts, either consciously or unconsciously. So today we want to talk about how do we use it. Actually, beloved, you've already been using it, whether you're aware of it or not. You've used it before. You will continue to use it. Why? Because it's there. It happens all the time anyway, whether you're aware of it or not. The difference is that we want to get really conscious about what form we allow this divine energy to take into our lives and in the world at large. So that means be aware of our thoughts, that we know that we are creating what we have in our lives. There was a post office received a letter addressed to God in a child's scroll. The postal employee decided to open the letter. It said, "Dear God, my name is Jimmy. I am 6 years old. My father has passed on and my mother is having a hard time raising me and my sister. Would you please send me $500? The postal employee was so touched he shared the letter with other employees. They all decided to kick in a few dollars and send it to the family. All they could come up with was $300. A couple of weeks later, a second letter arrived from Jimmy. He thanked God for the money they got, but ended with this request. Next time, would you please deliver the money directly to our home? If you send it through the post office, they deduct $200. So the question is, have you ever felt shortchanged yourself and your finances, your relationships, your health, or your business? Possibly that is how you came to metaphysical and new thought beliefs in the first place and our approaches to life. It should be no surprise to us, all of us, that New Thought is more than just a Sunday religion where we come and listen to a service, and then Monday through Friday we go on thinking and doing exactly as we did before. No, you come here to take what I talk about and what we share here and change your lives during the week. It's a teaching, but it's more than that. It's a practice. It's kind of like when you enter the Weight Watchers program. They teach you that this is not a weight loss program, but a lifetime program of balanced eating and exercise. A program where you need to stay conscious about what you eat, what you drink, your attitudes about food, the way you exercise, and so many other things. So it's all about consciousness, which we talk about here as well. It's a practice associated with food. So here we are having a practice associated with our thoughts and our emotions. And this practice leads to a whole new way of living, a new perception of life and all of its facets. I've said that New Thought is based on principle, just said it again, and that principle gives us tools and techniques to live our lives, to consciously access this principle we call God, to raise the quality of our lives and our livingness. As an ex-painting contractor, I had a toolbox with me on all my jobs that had a number of tools in it. Over the years of using them, there were some that I knew how to use, like the hammer and screwdrivers and pliers, but sometimes there were other tools that were specialty for things I needed to do, and I had to learn how to use them. Those tools felt awkward at first, but with practice, they became second nature, just like the hammer and the screwdrivers and the pliers. So, to begin any practice in our life, we need to start right where we're at and move forward from there. And that's why you're all here at Fellowship, to learn and to practice. If you want a different kind of work that we would enjoy more, you need to begin with the work or the job that you are now doing. What are you getting out of it? Why do you have that in your life before you look at moving forward? We created the experience of the work that you did, of the work that you have going on right now by your subconscious desires, thoughts, and fears. So it'd be worthwhile to find out what are all those so you don't create the same thing again. Whatever we believe about work, which we all grew up with thoughts about work and comments we heard and how work is hard or whatever messages we've taken in and processed from our past have created our present work environment. If we don't like our intimate relationships, or we don't like that we have friends, don't have any friends, we have to begin right where we are to move forward. We can't pretend that what we've created will just disappear all of a sudden. We have some work to do, starting with what we're experiencing right now, in this moment. What do we believe about relationships? That would be a good question to ask and find out. What I know about it is what's being manifested in my life. Okay, so this is happening. This is what I tell clients. Look at it and say, if you had that thought or that experience, what sort of thought created that? Begin to wake up to that. If your trust level starts with how you do or do not trust yourselves, first of all, in relationship. Another thing I tell clients, when they're so upset and said, I can't trust this person, first of all, my dear, you have to look at where you're not trusting yourself, because that's a reflection of that outside. Then, if your health is puny, no energy, tired, or chronic disease is your experience, again, you have to start with the present experience, find out why it's there, and move toward wholeness. We have to acknowledge the feeling aspect of whatever we want to change. So our thoughts are the creator, and our emotions are the feelings are the attraction that we attract to us. That's why I ask my clients a lot when things are going on, how do you feel? Get aware and ask yourself all the time, how do I feel about what's going on in my life? Those feelings and emotions are important, beloved ones, and they're the supportive energy that helps us, keeps us where we are and helps us to move forward. If you are a person who was not taught to feel or to stuff your feelings, which most of us did, that's where you need to begin. Why? What did I stuff? What's going on in my body that I need to release? So as I mentioned about tools, here's some of the tools that we want in our How to Use a Toolbox. Affirmations, prayer, spiritual mind treatment. Let's start with affirmations. Every time we think or speak, we are affirming something. Every time we say something, every time we have a thought, it's an affirmation. You're doing that right now as you listen to me and you take words that I'm saying. It becomes affirmations. A sampling of some of the affirmations that are negative and can create havoc in our life, but we've said them so often, such as, I'm sick and tired of whatever. Give me a break. I can't afford it. Life sucks. I don't have enough time to, or an answer to if I ask you, how are you? And you say, fair to middling. What does that mean? We may feel totally stressed about some of the circumstances that appear to repeat themselves over and over again in our daily life. It's like the ineptness of the doctor's office when you go there and people not doing what we feel they should be doing to take care of us. So then we use the expression, I'm sick and tired of. It's a cliche that appears harmless enough when you say it, but Ernest Holmes in Creative Minds said, so plastic is our mind, so receptive, that the slightest thought makes an impression upon it. So what happens is, the principle or the law of action responds to that statement, I'm sick and tired, as well as the rest of the statement. And guess what? The body then becomes prone to illness and lack of energy, and the other situation continues to present itself in our experiences. I am sick and tired. And we wonder why we have no energy to do what we need to do in our life. So we have two things to work on and change. One, expecting on a feeling level to be served in all of our business dealings with efficiency and accountability. That would be nice, but it's not always happening, does it? I've been guilty of believing in the past that people don't care about what they're doing about their job. And because of that, then I believed that I was not being served well. And the consciousness of that working person can continue to deteriorate because that's what I see and that's the energy that I'm putting out. It affects not only my personal experience, but the world at large, because our thoughts are not just by themselves. As I've said before, you throw a rock into a pond and they all come back to you. Our thoughts go out, they come back to us. So we need to change our expectations. Secondly, we may feel truly sick and tired, but it's important to begin affirming that our body knows how to reaffirm itself, how to rejuvenate itself. We need to say affirmations around positive health statements, not pointing out exactly what's wrong. We need to recognize that while we sleep, our body in perfect action is taking place for that rejuvenation. We could take a 2 or 3 minute break at least once a day to affirm that the energy of life is moving through my body now, and I am ready to be revitalized. Can you all connect to that? It's a simple statement. It's a lot more positive than the other one. I'm sick and tired. No, I am alive. I'm energetic. I'm healthy. Whatever it is you need to say. Let's look at the second one. Give me a break. Again, there's a cliche, an expression about frustration, but it has a connotation that you're a victim. But what I want to experience is greater good in my life. So the principle or the law of action is not a person. It does not judge what we put into it with our words or thoughts. It just answers back no matter what. It does not know what we are applying, so that give me a break could bring about what? We fall down and break an arm or a leg, or we bring and experience broken things in our car or our home. We start feeling victimized on a regular basis. And when we do, we need to really get real and say what we really want to see in our lives. For instance, I expect God and good to show up in every area of my life right now. It would be a good beginning. Want to say that with me? I expect God and good to show up in every area of my life now. Ooh, the power of saying that. When things were going on in the past, I was really frustrated when I had to begin listening to my thoughts and words, and when I first started learning all this stuff. What am I putting out in the world? I thought it would take forever to clean up my act. But what I began to realize is no, once you start with what you have right now, which is what I'm talking about, it has a domino effect. It starts going into other areas of our life. We find more ways to start speaking affirmatively about what we desire, not about what the situation seems to be. Do any of you say in your life, I have a hard time getting to bed early, I have a hard time drinking water, I have a hard time remembering to water my plants, I have a hard time remembering to take vitamins? We do that? Try saying, I used to have a hard time getting to bed early. I used to have a hard time with this. It allows it to be a thing of the past, and we can add a positive affirmation to it that says, I used to have a hard time doing whatever, but I really enjoy it now. That would be quite the change. Number 2, spiritual mind treatment, otherwise known as affirmative prayer. What I like about religious science or New Thought is the how-tos that we have and how they work. Ernest Holmes noticed that no matter what the religion or the approach to God, many people had answers to prayer, and others felt their prayers were not answered, depending on how you looked at it. He put together the elements he believed were present within individuals that felt their prayers were answered. In essence, we're giving our mind a treatment, which is the format of spiritual mind treatment that I do here. There's 5 steps to it. Number 1, identification. We spend time, first of all, getting a clear picture of God, Goddess, the higher power. We get the feeling in ourselves that all of the good of the universe can come into our individual life, that God is everywhere, and that God has the wherewithal to become the experience in our life. So we are connecting with Source, identifying it, okay? Secondly is unification, becoming one with it. So we start to use words to give us a sense of how we are a part of this God energy. We are worthy because we are a part of God. There is no separation from God because God is all there is. So going back to the first statement of identification, however you see God in your life, and we say that if you pay attention to spiritual mind treatment I give every Sunday, there's 5 parts to it. So we want to know, how do we see God? And as a positive affirmation, as a positive force in our lives, then the second thing is I become one with it, and I know that that's all there is. If that's the truth, then I go to step 3, realization. Now I get a clear picture of how my change in my conditions will make me feel. I pray in the answer and I let go of the challenge or problem. I start to feel how it feels to be healthy, how it feels to have the money we need, even before we need to spend it. How it feels to be in a loving relationship, how it feels to enjoy your work or your job. Whatever it is, you're now spending time by connecting to God, saying positive things about the issue. Number 4, thanksgiving. Here's the place where many create a place of separateness or duality and throw God back to the ethers. But when we say thank you, God, for such and such, in actuality we are giving thanks for the law of the life, which is always responding to our affirmations, always giving back to us what we say. And in this prayer treatment, through those 3 steps, we've gotten clear of the result that we want by clearing out the mind. And in this prayer treatment, we are grateful. We can't keep this law working from us because it works through us all the time. So now I can say, wow, okay, now this is what I want, and I acknowledge it. And then I say thank you before it's even come. We know it's a gift that's coming our way. We are being grateful in advance for the gift of spirit. And then the last step is release. There's a lot of times when we use affirmations or spiritual mind treatment or prayer, we do that and we think we've done it, but then we keep going back and focusing on the problem instead of letting it go. So release is cutting the strings of all past stuff. I let it go. I bless it. I moved into it. It's cutting the strings of our responsibility for making a thing happen because we've turned it over to universal mind. We're now open to guidance and direction. It's God's going to do the doing. And if we need to go to a different direction or take some kind of action like be, do, have, I just need to learn how to be. Let God take the doing and we'll have what we have. It is recognizing that this all-knowing mind probably knows more about your situation and how to bring the pieces together than you could even describe. Wow, that's powerful to know. God knows it all. Even all we know is just this little bit that's right in front of us. Your equal return is assured as you continue to practice the principles of this philosophy of new thought. A new thought, a new life. That's what we got to remember all the time as well. A customer in a little country drugstore noticed a beware of dog sign. But instead of a well-trained watchdog, he saw a harmless old hound dog sleeping on the floor next to the cash register. The customer inquired, "Is that the dog people are supposed to be aware of?" "Yes, sirree, that's him," the owner replied. The customer then laughingly said, "He sure doesn't look like a watchdog to me. Why did you post that sign?" "Because until I hung up the sign, people kept tripping over him." So we can continue tripping over our own roadblocks that are in our way that we set up in our lives. We set them up in our lives. We got to remember that. And then we go over and trip over and we say it again. And we have all these statements. Oh my God, I'm worried, I'm this, I'm a victim. No, beloveds, it's time that we stop. It's time that we get the tools of what I'm saying here and get to our conscious and unconscious thinking and beliefs and cliches and start letting them go and become focused on the end results that we take into our lives. So, beloveds, it's important to remember to recognize and focus on your feelings attached to the results. How does it feel to have the money that you want, to have the relationship you want, to have the health that you want? That's what I want to connect to. And to have a full demonstration by feeling them and demonstrate it. That's the other thing we talk about in New Thought, that our thoughts demonstrate for us. So if we don't like what we're demonstrating, guess what? Go back in, start where you're at, change a thought, and move forward. So, this is what I do when I tell you that I'm available for spiritual mind treatment after service. Take advantage of it, you guys. I'm here to help you out, to help change the thoughts. So remember these messages. The thing itself, how it works, what it does, and how can we use it. And when we do those things, it will help us go deeper into our theme for this year, which is, I am the one. So we will continue next week to wrap this up and have more information that will lead us to the theme, which will include more demonstration. So namaste.
Namaste.